Hello, and welcome to the Self-Care with Herbs segment of the Elder Tree podcast. I'm your host, Jess Bosca, naturopath, herbalist, and medicine maker. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Banjalang people, the traditional custodians of the land on which I live, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Now, come along and join me each month for beautiful conversations with guests from across the country, exploring ways we can weave plant medicine into our days to enrich our experience of self-care, sharing routines, rituals and recipes for elevating mind, body and spirit. Emma Calla is a naturopath and nutritionist who can thank her Italian heritage for teaching her how food can nourish us. She loves treating itchy babies and nervous kids, as well as any skin condition. Emma has a clinic near Coffs Harbour, New South Wales, where she is never not accompanied by her black and white cat, Cookie Custard. Some of Emma's earliest memories as a child are steeped in plant medicine. She remembers instinctively reaching for plants to heal during games of doctors and nurses. She knew she wanted to be a naturopath from when she was 5 years old, after having a flower essence prescribed for nightmares and witnessing their magic. For Emma, plant medicine is also really based on food. Her Sicilian heritage is steeped in food. Culinary herbs like oregano, parsley, thyme and garlic regularly making their way into meals. In her naturopathic practice today, where she loves working with families of young children, Emma helps her clients to make nourishing food choices by providing delicious and healthy tips and recipes. Flower essences also form a big part of Emma's practice, and she talks about how sitting down and having good conversations to help connect people with the right flower essence helps to effect deep change. We talk about the relationship that we encourage clients to develop with the plants to help encourage lasting change when working with plant medicines. During our chat, Emma talks about the importance of knowing our own self-worth, when it's often instinctual to prioritise everyone else's well-being first. We chat about the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic self-care and the benefits of investing in a balance of the two. Emma shares a weekly ritual she enjoys with her family, shopping at her local farmers market, connecting with the food and the growers, and using the produce she gathers to create nourishing meals for the week ahead. Her green frittata recipe sounds divine. Be sure to listen in so you don't miss it. Hello, Emma, and welcome to the Self-Care with Herbs podcast. I'm really excited to have a chat with you this morning.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. So this podcast is all about self-care and what that looks like for you, some of the barriers, how it unfolds. But one of the first questions that I really like to dive in with people is a reflection on how your relationship with plant medicine began. How can we go right back to the beginning and kind of tease out how that journey unfolded for you?
Yeah, for sure. When I think back to my earliest memory, it would be, I must have been about 4 or 5 playing with the kids in my street, and we used to play doctors and patients. And when I was the doctor, I would go into my dad's veggie patch and pick all of the parsley and give it to my patients. And even now, when I smell that, fresh cut parsley, it takes me exactly back to that point. So that would be my first thought. And then I remember being, maybe 6 or 7 and going to a mind, body, spirit festival with Dad and being in this huge teepee and drinking my first chai. And it wasn't, that fluffy stuff from a cafe. It was the real deal. There was herbs floating around in it. We were stirring it with a cinnamon quill, and sometimes I can really smell those spices again, like when I was in that teepee. And then the third thing, it all involves Dad actually. Dad and I are very linked. He's a great human being. Dad is Sicilian, so he would make these sugals, which are like the proper Italian spaghetti sauce, and he would have them simmering away on the stove all day with like ham hocks and Kransky sausages but so many Italian herbs, once again, like the oregano, the parsley, the basil, and the garlic. So when I think about that, yeah, they all have my dad, I think, because my Italian culture is so important to me and who I am. And they all involve kind of food, because I know that a lot of my naturopath friends can talk for hours and hours and hours so passionately and beautifully about herbal medicine. And I do feel like I'm a little bit late to the party with herbs, because it's only a really new thing for me. But I feel like plant medicine to me is more based on foods and flower essences.
That first early memory, Emma, of using the herbs from your garden to play the doctors and patients, do you feel like that was just pure instinct? Like the instinct as a young kid was just to go to the garden and grab those things and incorporate them into your play? Or was there an influence, do you think, that came in?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't feel like there's ever really been an influence growing up with, say, naturopathy. Well, not directly. I mean, I was always taken to a naturopath, but not in my family life. But yeah, I feel like it was just really intuitive. And I mean, I've wanted to be a naturopath since I was 5. So based on like having a flower essence prescribed to me when I was little, when I was having nightmares. So I just have always known that's what I wanted to do. And it's like nothing has ever wavered me from that, all through like all those hard studies at uni or anything. I'm like, yeah, no, it was just always decided for me, I felt. And I used to say I wanted to be a natural therapist, as in I kind of had this idea in my head that I wanted to be like a psychologist, but who treated with natural things, like flower essences, really. So, and that's kind of just evolved into, you know, I actually have my bachelor in nutrition and then my advanced diploma with naturopathy. So it's just kind of now who I am, which is really
Evolved.
Cool.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so unusual, I feel, for us, a child so young, to have that passion and knowledge and foresight to think, okay, I've had this beautiful experience. This is what I want to do, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I know. I haven't really heard of it much, but yeah, I'm so grateful that I've just always, been on that path, and here I am. Cool.
So from early childhood through schooling and making your way to uni, how did the way that you wove flower essences and food as medicine into your days kind of unfold through those, you know, when you were still young and as a kid, but growing up, how did that kind of change as you changed?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I would love to say that I was just a wholesome kid who grew up on like vegetables and proteins and took supplements, but I really didn't, because I mean, we are Sicilian, so we grew up on pasta, bread, grostoli, which are like the Italian biscuits. Like, there wasn't a lot of nutrition going on, but therefore that played such an integral role, because I just thought I was a tired kid and a sleepy teenager. And, you know, it wasn't literally until I was 20 that I saw a naturopath, and she was like, we need to like cut back on this gluten. And my entire life changed, and I could think, and, you know, my body changed. And, you know, I guess sometimes I think, gosh, I wish I knew what I do now then. Like, I mean, you know, hindsight. But yes, now I think I'm raising my daughter in such a different way. And, you know, when we know better, we do better. But my parents always did take me to a naturopath when I was totally off kilter. And that's, starting from such an early age. And yeah, they brought me back to myself, and I thought, wow, if I can do that for someone, that is such a cool, experience. And I think that's also why I work mainly with children and babies, because you can just before those roots grow too deep, you can help a baby with eczema instead of their parent had to go through it until they were like 40. So I don't feel like, I think plant medicine was there through food, but it's kind of came to me later in life, ironically. Yeah.
And working with naturopaths, through childhood and early adolescence through to adulthood, what sorts of things that naturopaths provided really resonated with you?
When it wasn't until I was 25, I finished uni when I was 24. I was 25. I bought my parents' health food store, which is a very ambitious thing and naive thing to do at that age. But anyway, and obviously my adrenals were cooked. Like, I was running a clinic, I was running a business, I was managing staff. It was all chaos. So anyway, I went to a naturopath, and she made me up a herb mix for my sleep, because I was just, waking up through the night thinking about BAS statements and all that sort of stuff. And when I did my follow-up, I was like, I'm sleeping really well now. She had me on drop doses. But then after a while, the herbs weren't working anymore, and I started waking up again. And I remember emailing her saying, they're kind of not working anymore. She's like, we'll increase the dose. So we did that. Yep, that started working. And then after a while, fancy that, they stopped working again. So she increased the dose. And I remember saying to her, like, oof, this bottle of herbs isn't lasting that long anymore, and it's, kind of $50 a bottle and blah, blah, blah. And that really taught me that, to meditate and not medicate, as in as naturopaths, we need to be so holistic, and that involves teaching people, from a young age, once again, and about breathing techniques and changing their lifestyle, not just taking a pill but doing all the same stuff. So that's kind of a really significant thought that I think about regularly, and something that challenges me a lot working in a health food store as well, 1 or 2 days a week, finding that balance. I don't know if I have the answer yet, but it's something I ponder.
I love that, Emma. I'm always, when I'm speaking with clients, helping them to understand that we have to meet any remedy halfway. We can't just expect, otherwise we're in the biomedical model, right? We take the pill and 100%. We don't have to do anything, or we take the herbs, and it's forming a relationship. It's looking at the underlying drivers. Why did I get here? And as you said, if I'm not addressing that, the herbs are just doing a little bit of work, and your symptoms keep returning.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the whole person and what's going on in their life, and it will make a sustainable change for sure.
And it's really asking something of people, isn't it? It's not just you being up on the pedestal and them saying, you fix me. It's you saying, actually, there's some work here for you to do. Let's have a look at what's happening, and where are some ways that we can make some changes that you get the most out of what we're doing together.
Yeah, and I think, there's 5 different stages of change, and just because we like the idea of having different symptoms or a different life, it requires so many habits changing, maybe cutting back on coffee or making more effort in other areas, and not everyone's ready for that, and that's okay. Sometimes I just like to think that I'm, just a little stepping stone on the way, and then eventually they'll go, I remember that Italian girl who told me to do this and this, sometimes
sometimes it's hard not to take it personally when you see someone once and then they don't return. But as you said, you hope that it's just opening the door, and when they get to the point when they're ready to address those changes that got them to that place, then they percolate back to, oh, what were we talking about back there when I wasn't quite ready?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
So it sounds like that period in your early 20s was very big for you. How did your working life unfold from there, Emma?
Well, I mean, yeah, so I finished uni when I was 24, took on the shop and learnt so much. And you finish uni, you think, oh my gosh, I just know everything. Like ego is flaring. And gosh, I knew nothing. And I continually, every day, we learn. And I've always just wanted to do one-on-one consultations. Like I know some naturopaths, you can go in so many different avenues, but for me, it's just that one-on-one, creating that really, I don't want to say sacred space, that sounds a bit, but like that special space where people can just come in, and you must know what it's like when you say, how are you today? And they just burst into tears because no one has asked them and they've never even thought to ask themselves. And it's quite beautiful and indulgent and luxurious to sit there and talk about yourself for an hour, because we never do. And so much can come up in that space. And I just love it, because being an introvert, I really value connection and that one-on-one connection. So I did the clinic while I had the shop, and then I had my daughter Edie, and I needed to go back to consultations when she was really young. I needed to find a bit more of my identity again, and I just started seeing maybe one or two people a week from when she was a few months old, and that just gave me so much life and inspiration and balance. And since then I've just always done consults, but now that I work from home, probably for the last, 2 or 3 years, it's just been a real game changer with my own self-care, because I found that working in a multimodality clinic and paying high amounts of rent, I really would push myself and then get to the end of the week and I felt like I'd been smashed in the head with a cricket bat. But, I felt like I needed to say yes to everyone, and I wasn't just seeing my niche of people. So I feel like now that I'm at home in my clinic, it's just glorious, really. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I can see there's an array of beautiful flower essences there behind you. How did you come to be drawn to flower essences and using them in your practice?
Definitely from that early introduction with the nightmares when I was 5. And it just always made so much sense to me, working on that emotional body with people, because, man, I literally just see it every day, especially with kids, oh, I've got a sore tummy, and we can look into the diet. Is it the dairy? Is it the antibiotics? Is it this? But maybe they're just really not vibing with their classroom teacher. And when you get that out of them, they just get better. And, or maybe, the mum who's got, some liver issues, we can give her all the St. Mary's or all the vegetable juice and all the whatever. She might be feeling really resentful towards her mother-in-law. Do you know what I mean? So it's and that's why I just think sitting down, having good conversations so we can really unpack the right flower essence. I think there's 69 in the Ian White Australian Bush Flower Essences. So there's something for everything. Just makes real deep change. And I have the deck of flower essence cards that I'll give to kids, and they just love shuffling them terribly and dropping them and choosing them, and they just always make the most perfect mix.
That's beautiful, Emma. And hearing you speak that way about the way that you draw people out and help them to choose and for you to make a selection from the flower essences, it really sounds like you've come back to that original dream of psychology using plant-based medicines to help support people's emotional and mental well-being.
100%. I just feel particularly when I'm sitting down with a child and their parent, and we're, thinking of trying to name the words of their emotions and what's going on. And I honestly just feel like my inner child is here healing. Like it feels like little 5-year-old Emma is here in the consult to just, just come full circle. And that's why I feel like I'm just doing the right work. Yeah.
Yeah. You've landed where you're meant to be.
Yeah. It's a nice place to be.
And I love the way that you've recently restructured the way that you work so that you are able to bring self-care to the fore, which takes us to our next question, which is, what does self-care mean to you, Emma?
Oh gosh, it's so much. I feel like the first step with self-care is really knowing your own self-worth, so you can make yourself a priority. Otherwise you will, and I say this from experience, you will continually fall at the bottom of the heap and make sure everyone else's well-being is prioritized, especially being a parent who is a naturopath. I feel like I'm always trying to, shuffle everything around. Making myself a priority, because no one is going to say, oh, Emma, have this afternoon off, or do this, or go make yourself a smoothie. Like, you have to do that yourself. You cannot be passive, and you just cannot be a martyr with self-care. Otherwise there's always an excuse. And so self-care to me was also, it was a lot about learning about myself being an introvert, and how self-care therefore looks so different from every single person. For me, it really is having space in my life. And when I have space, it just flows better. It doesn't feel so cramped and constricted and overwhelming and stressful, which is not a healthy place to be. No one wants to see a hot mess naturopath. It means that I can, like, self-care honestly is, as boring as it sounds, looking at my diary, looking at the week ahead and going, okay, I'm going to be in the shop this day, and I've got, 3 half days of clients, which means I can take my lunch down to the creek and go for a swim at 12:30 or 1. I've got time to meal prep during the day so that when Edie comes home, I can be present with her, and we can all enjoy our evening. Like, as boring as that is, self-care can be so monotonous and boring, but so necessary. Like writing down on a Sunday or whatever day the 7 meals we're going to have for dinner that week, so I can do a Coles pickup, the direct to boot. Like, it's just, to me, that just gives so much freedom, and I think freedom is self-care to me. Yeah.
I love that description, Emma, and I really love how you've recognised that there cannot be self-care unless there is self-awareness and
100%.
Understanding that we are important and we need to prioritise ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was probably last October that I started getting this, like, I know this funny little ear pain, and I kind of ignored it for a few days, and it started to get more significant, and I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I need to see a doctor and get someone to look in there. I was so annoyed at myself. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have an ear infection. I heard they're really, like, horrendous, and why did I ignore myself? I was really working quite hard because I think I was really waiting for clinic to just ease up. But once again, it does not ease up. If you're your own boss, you're the only one who's going to set those hours. So I went into the doctor, and she looked in my ear, and she's like, okay, well, the good news is there's no infection, which was a shock to me. She said, but do you grind your teeth at night? Do you hold tension in your jaw? And I was like, I so do. And my dentist tells me that I do. And she's like, that's what this is. And that was such a wake-up call. I was like, okay, I need to restructure. I need to reprioritize and just see what is superfluous in my life right now. Like, what pressure am I putting on myself to just be there for everyone, but not me? And that's when I started working half days in the clinic, and it's been so conducive to my mental well-being and and my self-care.
Yeah, it's that sense of space again, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And I work for myself, which, has pros and cons and whatever. But yeah, a big pro is that I can prioritize my self-care. Because if I'm not doing well, like no one else in my family will be.
No, and it's difficult to preach to your clients if you're not taking that advice yourself.
Yeah, and even to my daughter as well. Like I am so mindful that she is, as a 9-year-old now, she is looking at me to model good self-care. And yeah, so that's a huge motivating factor as well.
Really important. Yeah. We've covered some of the whispers that you start to hear from your body when self-care starts to fall off the radar. You've spoken about your adrenals feeling pretty wired and starting to feel, physical symptoms that are starting to get a little bit louder because they've been left by the by for a little while. Are there any other real key ones that kind of jump in for you when you know that things have gotten too busy and you just haven't had a chance to find that space?
Yeah, I would say I'm just a really less fun person. Like just, the less patience and, it's cliche, we only get our kids for such a short amount of time at home and I just don't want to be a snappy mum. So I am so much more inclined to say, hey, babe, let's, grab out your colouring pencils and let's do some drawing and colouring and stuff at the end of the day rather than not. So, I think just my quality as a parent and wife would change without that.
And what are some of the really common themes that you see amongst your mama clients that are going to pop up regularly when they've become so busy that self-care has slipped off?
Yeah. Do you know what? Like, I just think libido is such a big thing and such a huge topic because a lot of women will come in and say, I need help with my hormones because, I just don't have a libido. And I'll say, when was the last time you were feeling like yourself? And it's often like, when my daughter was born like 8 years ago. And it's just, I think, so much to do with self-care and feeling connected to yourself and your identity, feeling connected to your partner because, when parenting comes in and everyone's under the pump, then it's such a low priority. And even just to be best friends with your partner, So I think, libido is a huge thing. And once we have a good chat and they kind of realize that, I think lots of things start to click into place. So libido is a big one. And energy, like often I hear the excuse, I'm tired because I'm a mum, and that does not sit well with me. So I've done a few extra studies in interpreting pathology tests, and I love it when my clients bring in blood test results because often they haven't had one since that 6-week postpartum one, so years can go by, and it just helps the unseen become seen. It's like, actually your thyroid is really struggling right now, or I think it might be worth talking to your GP about an iron infusion. And like all of those things just need to be addressed. If you're low in iron, you're low in iron. You need to rectify that.
Yeah, so it's not just the mum busyness. There's actually sometimes pathology behind that has been left by the by purely because it hasn't been recognised.
Fascinating. Yeah, totally. And it just needs, once again, to be that holistic, thing. So, and if they're not happy with their GP, go find one who's great. I've got a list of lots of practitioners in Coffs, and that can be such a key as well. Like feeling supported with your practitioner is just a game changer, and finding a really thorough one as well. So, yeah.
And having someone who is your cheerleader to say, hey, this is important. This isn't something that you can let slide. Here's the evidence of your body is actually struggling in this area. Let's do something about it. Let's not leave it any longer.
When it's written on paper, and then to be accountable to someone is just, it's everything.
So for yourself, Emma, apart from not having the space which we've talked about where you've been able to shift the way that your life currently is to be able to have that space that makes self-care feel good, what are some other barriers that have gotten in the way previously or currently to investing in yourself regularly?
Yeah, I would say giving into that sort of that response of like, how have things been? Yeah, good, busy. What have the kids been up to? Oh, lots. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I feel like it's so easy to slip into that conversation, and it's so boring. And that's when I know self-care is slipping as well, when I'm just talking like that. I'm so much more fun and interesting when I've got self-care to be like, oh, I went and did this sauna and cold plunge thing on the week. Oh, really? Where was that at? Oh, that new place. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been meaning to, like it just opens up that connection. Yes. So I feel like, I don't know, a barrier to self-care would be slipping into that convo.
That sort of is held up by that lack of space and the busyness. Now, if your first response is busy, I've been busy, I love it when, yes, you still have, your life is still full, but you have made space.
Yeah.
So that your first response doesn't feel like, I'm busy.
Yes, exactly. And I think that recognizing the difference for me between intrinsic and extrinsic self-care helps to take those barriers down, because maybe someone really loves getting acupuncture treatments for their self-care, but then the acupuncturist is away, or there's COVID, or they're sick, and then all of a sudden, does that mean self-care doesn't exist anymore? So for me, I try and find things that are extrinsic but also intrinsic that I can just do as, not backups, but that I still enjoy doing, so that it just doesn't happen at all.
I love that. And that kind of takes away the ability to throw up our hands and go, oh, it's all too hard. What I usually do is, I haven't got the time to get in the car and go to the acupuncturist, or as you said, they're away or whatever. There's these set of tools that I have that I can do wherever I am, no matter what size pocket of time I have, and it's easy.
Yeah, and that's when you really can incorporate those slices of, for me, like, I actually space my clients by half an hour. So some run over, some come early, whatever. But it allows me to quickly, send off any admin notes, so I don't have a lump of admin at the end of the day, because that is not when I feel like doing it. I need to do it when it's fresh in my mind. It allows me to, make another chai. I always make sure I go out to the garden, even just to observe what's going on, or have a chat to my cat. And then I come back and it's like a fresh little reset. So if I didn't put those in place, like my clients, they're investing in me to show up for them. They're investing their money, their time, their everything. And I want to be that person for them. So I can do that if I, once again, incorporate space into my day.
Beautiful. So there's some, you've talked about some ways that you start to pull in some routines and rituals for self-care. It's looking specifically at plant medicine, and that doesn't necessarily have to be herbal tinctures, but plant medicine as a whole. How do you weave the plants into your days in a way that's ritualistic or becomes a routine for self-care?
Yeah, for sure. So most mornings, I put my daughter on the bus at 8, and then I schedule my first client for 9:15, and that allows me to go for a walk through, the beautiful town, little coastal town that I live in. And I always pick flowers. I don't know, all my neighbours love me, but I'm always walking back to my house with like some bottle brush, some banksia, some, at the moment, my goodness, the house on the corner, they've got 9 frangipani trees and each tree is a different colour. And you can't even see the grass because it is just covered in frangipanis. It's like confetti. So I'm always picking those up and putting them around the house. And at the moment, like the marigolds are just like, bursts of joy. So I'm always surrounded by plants and that just lights me up. And I think also just, plant medicine would be food, like trying to be intentional with the food I'm buying and preparing and consuming. And I spend a lot of time like just poring over cookbooks. I just bought 2 this week. And it just helps me feel so inspired and, just trying to not just get stuck in that, family merry-go-round of the same pretty much 10 dinners that go. I mean, I'm still there, but I'm trying to at least once a week cook something beautiful and new and fresh to keep us all inspired. So, I love cooking, so that's a big thing for me.
Tell us, what are those 2 new cookbooks you just got?
So I got one by, I should have brought them in. One's called What Can I Bring, which is really beautiful. It's about like sharing food in a community and it's based on seasons as well, which is really fun. I like to try and cook. We were looking at the autumn recipes last night, Edie and I, in bed, getting excited. Oh, she was excited about the cakes. And the other one is... it's just actually called like the Simple Family Food Edit or something. And it's just really easy, not over the top gourmet recipes, but just things that are very achievable for me in my life right now. The kids will eat.
Beautiful. I love on your Facebook page the beautiful tips that you share under the Edie Eats and Emma Eats tag. Always so beautiful and practical, and I love that that's something that people can take on board, and I imagine that a lot of that is woven into the way that you practice as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get a lot of extreme fussy eaters in the clinic, and my goodness, I'm not here to judge. My daughter ate anything up until the age of about 4, and now it takes effort. And luckily I love cooking and it's my job to, get nutrition into kids. So I take on the challenge. And that's why I try and share those recipes, not because I have it all worked out and my child is perfect and we're pure inspiration. We are far from it. But I know what it's like when you do have a fussy eater and all of a sudden they start to really enjoy a meal. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like, we can add it to our repertoire. So I'm kind of hoping that busy, maybe, parents of fussy eaters can just incorporate that. Or, the Emma Eats, which is for adults. For me, I get stuck on lunch. It's like, oh, what am I going to have today? I'm not a big leftover person. And I've got a really good frittata recipe I'm going to share this week. So,
good. Beautiful. And what are some of the other, tips that you find yourself sharing frequently with clients? I know you see a lot of families and mums and young kids, and often they're the ones who are just really looking for simple, practical ways to incorporate herbs, good food into their diets. What are some tips that you find yourself falling back on frequently with, busy mums?
Yeah, I think batch cooking is a big thing. Like if you make a spag bowl, making a double batch of that so it's in the freezer for next time. And also just trying to like really supercharge those meals. Like I'm all about beef liver powder. Yes. And, using the fine side of the grater so that food like just cooks down to nothing, like veggies. And I often will say like with extreme fussy eaters, like if, for my example, like, Edie doesn't want to eat the salmon that Brett and I eat once a week. And we keep offering, but she's still not there yet. And when I make like a beautiful big chicken soup with literally everything, she can't get enough of it. So I make sure that, I get clients to freeze just little portions, like 2 cups or whatever, in the freezer, so that on those nights they've got something that they don't have to cook twice. They can just heat up and the kid's going to eat it, and it's full of good stuff.
Love it. Beautiful tip. And with your Italian heritage, do you find yourself encouraging people to incorporate the culinary herbs into their foods?
Yeah, I think I'm always trying to get people to grow herbs, even if it's just like a pot on their back deck of parsley, and then every time you walk past, just pick a little sprig and eat it. It's just so nutrient dense. So yeah, I am trying to encourage people to do it. It's cheaper and they're easy to grow, like easier than vegetables perhaps. And I do find that most of my liquid herbs are actually foods as well, like nettle, alfalfa, parsley, rose hips, chamomile, licorice, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what have you got going in your patch at the moment, Emma? What herbs have you got growing?
Many a marigold.
Beautiful.
So much mint. We have a blueberry bush that has like 3 blueberries a year, and the birds always get to it first. We have parsley, of course, always shallots. It's like growing grass. It's so easy. So I've really resigned myself to being a herb and flower gardener rather than the veggies. I just can't do the veggies.
Yes. Yep.
Gets to a stage and then they just go, nah.
And does your family like the mint in a tea?
Yeah, we put a lot of mint in like rice paper rolls. Yeah.
Very nice. Now, we've talked a lot about routines and rituals and ways that we can implement self-care. And when that happens, what do you start to notice in yourself and even in your clients when they return in terms of positive ripples flowing out from those practices?
Yeah, I find that I think for myself, I think it's just really, I find for me the motivation is a ongoing ripple effect. I don't know, I think being human, you just kind of go in, ebb and flow with rituals and things like that. But I know that when I start feeling more settled in myself, like I get to go for a swim during the day, then I feel more centered and, make a better meal, and then I'll exercise, it's just that kind of simple sort of, or if I start going to bed early, fancy that, you wake up feeling better, and it's just breaking that cycle. So, yeah, I think it's always easier to see it in clients. They just sort of, I don't know, I just find it fascinating. Sometimes, like, someone will come in and just be like, I have no time for this, and I'm at my wit's end, and I can't, just completely exhausted and locked down. But then somehow they not find the time, they make the time, because you have to make the time for it. And things just shift. Like, they're, I'm not bloated anymore. I realised that was just stress. Or I realised that I'm making the kids' lunch boxes. I can just make lunch for myself at that time too. And it's like, I don't know. It's really just sort of flows. It's beautiful to see.
Do you find as motivation increases because people start to feel better and more vital that there tends to be a habit stacking kind of approach happening where they sort of go back to habits that they've gone, I've let that one go, but seeing as I've started this one, I could easily do that straight after that, and then...
Yeah, that's the way forward. And I love it when, say, they run out of the herbs, they run out of, the magnesium powder, and they go, oh, wow, I actually noticed a huge difference. This came back and this came back. And, yeah, so that's always really, affirming as well.
Absolutely. They can actually witness and experience those symptoms returning and so therefore feel more motivated to continue.
Yeah, or if they were, adding, I don't know, sugar to their coffee and then they're not on any... and then someone makes them a coffee the way they used to like it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to drink it that way. Like I just think human psychology is fascinating, and habits.
It is,
and
isn't it?
yeah,
Yes.
I love it.
Now, Emma, I first came across you with your beautiful top 5 things I loved this week that you share. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, that's my weekly. Yeah, every Sunday I try and do it. It's a really nice reflection for the week. I write little 5 highlights from the week, and it can be something really significant, and then it can just be like just funny little things that make me laugh through the week. And it probably started, I think, maybe 12 years ago. I think we're past 450 posts now. And yeah, it was, I remember like my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time. So it's so cool actually to watch like that progression. Like now we're married for 12 years, and Edie wasn't even born then. So he made this really beautiful feta and spinach pie, and he like with pastry on top, and cut the leftover pastry into the words love. And I mean, this is like clearly the early honeymoon day. He's not doing that anymore. But I was like, oh, I really want to post this picture. This is so beautiful. And then whatever else happened that week. And it just, then I think I used to get like 1 like or none. And it was always people I knew. It was probably like my mum. And then it just kind of started growing. And, it's so funny to look back now and see that before Edie, it was like, oh, I just, went and got an hour massage. Then I went out for lunch. And then I, just having a bath, and I'm just going to go to the movies now. And then like during pregnancy and then having a newborn, and it was just like, oh, I had to wash my hair today. Like, like it's just the way it has evolved, that self-care as well. It's really cool. And now, now it's just like family life, and it's just still simple things. Like I feel like I'm still writing about what's growing in the garden and the food I cooked. But I just, life can be monotonous and it can just blur into a week, but it's nice to kind of sit and go, oh yeah, that happened. I got to connect with that person. And, I really loved eating that peach today. Like you just got to pick out those beautiful little sparkles of gratitude. And I think that just kind of grows.
Yeah. I've heard the word glimmers bandied around, and it feels like that's a documentation of your weekly glimmers, kind of like a gratitude journal that's shared. And I feel like that's probably a part of your self-care, Emma.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like it's on my list. I'm going to do it. I'm going to print it all out and make it into like a little book for Edie, so that when she's older or whenever, she can just read through that and read through what mum and dad, their life used to be like, and then when I was pregnant with her, and then when she was a baby, like I just...
what a beautiful gift.
Yeah, I've always loved journaling, so I feel like this is more like a out there journal for everyone to read. But so she can have 2, which I think is just really special.
Absolutely beautiful, for sure. Now we're coming towards the end, but we've got a couple more questions. Was wondering if you have a special recipe or ritual using plant medicine for self-care that you'd like to share.
Yeah, I really, really love going to the farmer's market on a Sunday with a recipe in mind that I've been like reading through the week, and collecting it all, feeling like super earth mama wholesome, and then bringing it home, stocking the fridge, cutting it up. Like I remember in Food as Medicine in my first year of uni, learning the digestion starts not when you're eating the food, but like thinking about the food and preparing the food and cutting the food on like, they used to say like a wooden chopping board with a big knife, and hearing that sound and, smelling the smells. And so I think, cooking is definitely the ritual. And I mean, this frittata that I made this week that I'm still vibing on was like, whole broccoli, a zucchini, all of the green veggies, but then also like the parsley, the mint, the basil, the dill, which I don't use much of, and lemon zest and 10 eggs and better. Like, it just, that food that like feels good, not just yummy, but actually like really feels good. Yeah, I think,
Just the thought, knowing that where you source those ingredients, the ritual involved of unpacking, preparing the food, and then the lovely thought of having that available to you throughout the week.
yeah, the convenient, like making your life easy, a stitch in nine save time. Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, just it's just stuff like that. Just the simple things, really.
Yeah, and I love that concept of, taking some space to choose something that you'd like to prepare, making the gathering of the ingredients a beautiful part of it, unpacking, preparing, and then that thanking your previous self for having put that effort in, so that the rest of the week, the rest of the week unfolds from that, knowing that if things go pear-shaped, you've got that beautiful, nourishing meal that you've prepared and it's there ready to go.
Yeah, I think we put our energy into the food. So, and life gives life. So, yeah, I just think that's the ideal way to live when we can.
Absolutely. Now, this last question always throws plant lovers because it's difficult to choose. It's like choosing a favourite child. But I'm going to ask you, what plant do you have the deepest connection with, and why is that?
Yes, lucky I only have one child, so I can choose. But, I just really love nettle. Like, once again, it's quite a foodie herb. And when I was like so pregnant, like I had 18th of February, so like the heat of summer, and I was 43 weeks pregnant when I had her. Like, I was the most pregnant person to have lived. And my naturopath at the time told me, she studied under Dorothy Hall, and she told me to make a big pot of nettle leaf tea and let it sit overnight, and then in the morning you strain it into like a water bottle. I used to strain into like 1 litre coconut oil jars, and I had them all lined up in the fridge, and it was like the ultimate pick-me-up tonic. And I didn't mind the grassiness of it. Sometimes I put rose hip in there too, or some lemon, but it really helped my iron stores. And I don't know, I just remember, swimming laps as a super pregnant woman. I would have been like this dugong, and I would have like all these naps in the day, and then just in the afternoon having an iced nettle tea was just, it brings back memories. And I don't even know, I haven't had since. I don't even know if I could have it. I'm probably at capacity. But yeah, nettle was just like such a beautiful gift in my life at that time. And I always try and let my pregnant mamas know about it.
It's like a beautiful plant friend.
It was. Yeah, it really helped me through.
And so different from choosing a supplement off the shelf, opening it and taking a capsule. It's, the ritual of preparing it and drinking it and knowing that it's there, and even just the process of drinking it feels so different to grabbing a supplement and popping a pill and off you go on your day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I love nettle too. I still do nettle overnight infusions. I love with oats.
Oh, beautiful. And you have it hot?
No, I like it cold.
Oh, cold ones. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So yummy. And just the bright green colour, you just feel like you're drinking a herbal multivitamin.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Emma. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I feel like the tips that you've shared are so practical, really easy for people to weave into their days, and I love your approach.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I feel like I could talk to you all day, but we have lots of self-care to do, so we better not.
Thanks so much, Emma.
Thanks, Jess. See ya.
I'm so glad you tuned into this episode of Self-Care with Herbs, a segment of the Elder Tree podcast. The Elder Tree is a non-profit dedicated to putting the medicine in the hands of the people through grassroots herbal education and earth skills, weaving a strong community of herbalists, healers and plant folk in Australia. If you'd like to dive a little deeper, you can head over to our Patreon, the Elder Tree Trove, to access special content from our podcast guests. I hope you found something in this episode that has inspired you to begin to lean into those plant allies and to experience your practice of self-care blossoming and blooming. I look forward to sharing more ways you can weave plant medicine into your days next month.